Oh, hello there. So I'm doing dry January. Today is day 12. It's going great. I feel pretty good. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about why I'm doing it, how it's been going, and just some random thoughts about alcohol. Please remember, I'm just talking about my experience. People have vastly different relationships with alcohol, vastly different relationships with addiction. There's many ways to approach disordered drinking, relationship with drinking, and even amongst experts, there's a lot of disagreement. So just remember that I'm speaking from my experience because this can be a really contentious issue. People can get really opinionated about definitions of disordered drinking and which way is the best way to deal with that relationship. So I drink too much, but everybody means something different when they say like, oh yeah, I drink too much. So I want to give you the actual sensor of what my tolerance is. And this is pretty embarrassing for me. And if someone else came to me and said, hey, I think I drink too much, this is exactly how much I drink, I wouldn't want them to feel embarrassed or judged. So this is just me like judging myself like I'm an idiot. Like this is clearly too much. And I'm personally just embarrassed that my tolerance is this high. So this is a pint glass. This is green cleaning fluid because it has a color that you can see on film. And I would use whiskey, except we don't have any in the house because it's dry January. And this is the large end of a jigger. I believe this is 1.5 ounces. I do measure every time I drink. So I'll show you what my tolerance is. 1, 2, 3, 4. Already spilling some. I'm getting a little tipsy. 5. So imagine this is whiskey. So that's a lot. It's too much. It's too much for anyone. And just for reference, I'm 5 foot tall. I gotta pour this back in the jug because this is my cleaning fluid and I need it. So don't drink that much whiskey, and also don't drink cleaning fluid. So that's a normal amount for me. Doesn't make me hungover. Just a pretty normal evening. Not every evening. You know, I've tracked over the years, and I would say a good month is 15 days out of the month, and that is way too much. That's embarrassing and ridiculous, and I know better. So now I'm on day 12, and it was actually really easy to not drink because I was just committed to it. I just decided not to drink anymore, and that's how I operate. When I really truly decide something, I do it. Or if I decide not to do it, then I don't do it. And that's how I operate. And I completely understand that it is not that simple for a lot of people. So I want to talk about my motivations for doing this, a little bit about my history, and my goals. So motivation is sleep, health, and vanity. I love sleep. I sleep really well, even with alcohol, although I sleep much better without it. I love dreaming, really involved in my dream life. I get a lot of value out of my dreams every night. And so I just want the highest quality sleep. I want to capture all those dreams and remember them the next morning. So what happens when I drink is that I fall asleep fine. And when I drink that much, I should clarify, I'm just buzzed. I'm not falling down drunk. I'm not being ridiculous. It's just relaxing. So I fall asleep easily, but then at some point in the night, I wake up and I feel a little agitated when the drink wears off. So with every drug, there's an A response and a B response. So for me with alcohol, the A response is like the immediate effect. It's relaxing, it's cozy, maybe a little sentimental, open-hearted. I'm a very fun and easy drunk. Nothing dysfunctional, no fist fighting, no highly dysfunctional behavior. It just makes me feel relaxed and cozy and a little bit more creative or even more focused. Like in writing or editing, I can just focus for a longer period of time when I'm drinking for whatever reason. So that's the A response, the effect that the drug has on you. The reason that you would take the drug is for that good A response. But every drug has a B response, which is usually opposite. So for me, the opposite, the B response, is when the alcohol hits the liver and it's converted into acetaldehyde. That is the real poison. And that acetaldehyde makes me feel really agitated. And so that's when I would wake up at like 2 in the morning and I would just be kind of awake for a while. Now, I am really good at using Jedi mind tricks. So when I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm feeling agitated like that, I'm pretty good at getting back to sleep just through mental concentration and visualization, meditation, just general Jedi mind tricks. I have a whole bunch of them in my bag that I use, and I've practiced using them a lot, and I'm pretty good at it. But it's ridiculous to use the Jedi mind tricks to clean up the damage from drinking poison. What makes a whole whole lot more sense is to use the Jedi mind tricks when you want to drink to get past that hump of wanting the drink and get to the other side. Use the Jedi mind tricks on the trigger that's triggering you to want the drink, rather than using the tricks to clean up the damage from drinking poison. Understanding how dopamine works really helps me to deal with alcohol triggers. So dopamine is a chemical of anticipation of a reward. So your dopamine spikes the highest in anticipation of the reward when you're about to get it. So somebody says, hey, do you want to go to the ice cream shop and get ice cream sundaes today? Your dopamine starts to rise because you're excited, you're looking forward to it. And it rises until you get the ice cream sundae. And by the way, you usually want the thing more than you enjoy it. So you really want the ice cream sundae. But then when you're eating it, you might think, I wanted this much more than I'm enjoying it. The power of the wanting was much stronger than the actual enjoyment of the thing. And I feel that way when I drink alcohol. I wanted it. I really wanted this. But now that I'm drinking it, is it really that great? It's just kind of a letdown. That's dopamine at play. And so just understanding that makes it way easier for me to ride out that dopamine wave and get to the other side, because it will subside. The dopamine rises and it peaks. But if you just get to the other side of that, just distract yourself for a little while, wait a little while, then that will calm back down and you'll be able to manage the trigger. And that's really the only thing that I've had to do in order to not drink. Really, after 4 or 5 days of not drinking, those triggers kind of stopped. It just takes a lot more for me to think of alcohol, for it to come to mind. It just doesn't come to mind. You know, the first 4 or 5 days it did. We were just coming off of Christmas and New Year's Eve. You know, I had been drinking in December. When 4 or 5 o'clock rolled around, I thought of alcohol and that trigger was there. I'm a very routine person. I get very attached to routines, so I can be attached to the routine of having a drink at 5 o'clock. But if I don't do that for a few days and I give myself something else to do at 5 o'clock, I quickly become attached to the new routine. And so that is an advantage. That's one way that being a very routine, regimented person can be an advantage. So sleep is one motivation. The next motivation is vanity. I look back at videos of what I looked like when I was 40, and I think I looked much younger than my age. Now I'm almost 47, and I think I look pretty old and tired. And I have to ask myself, how much more gracefully would I have aged if I hadn't been drinking the last few years? And so it's just this curiosity. I'm just at a point where my curiosity about what I would look and feel like if I didn't drink is greater than my desire to continue the habit of drinking. My goal with this, and I think this will probably be controversial, is not to never drink forever. My goal is to get back to a place where I feel neutral about it. Get back to a place where drinking is something that you do on your birthday, Christmas, New Year's Eve, St. Patrick's Day. So it's something that you do usually to celebrate, usually in social situations. And I have a really big advantage there because I'm not social. The drinking that I've done is primarily just at home. And so my goal is to not have hard liquor in the house and to rarely have wine in the house. Maybe have wine in the house because we're going to have beef bourguignon on Valentine's Day. You know, we tend to enjoy ourselves and cook and eat and hang out at home. We don't really go out. And so for me, it's a no-brainer. Just don't have it in the house. So there's a lot of people who will think that specifically is a ridiculous goal. You should quit drinking and never drink again. But for most of my life, all through my 20s and 30s, I felt really neutral about alcohol. I could just take it or leave it. So yeah, that's going to be controversial, but anyway, that's just what I'm doing. So when I get past this 30 days, will I immediately have a drink on February 1st? I don't even know. I don't know if I will. My birthday is February 23rd. Pretty likely I'll have a cocktail on my birthday, but I don't really know. So I have a few other observations about alcohol and the way that it's spoken about, the way that it's portrayed in the media. So I kind of have some beef with the way that disordered drinking is portrayed in the media. First of all, even experts are starting to do away with that word alcoholism, because the definitions of it are really fuzzy, and because many people have disordered drinking or a poor relationship with alcohol, but you wouldn't really call them an alcoholic. And part of this is because of the way that alcoholism is portrayed in the media. So when we see alcoholics in the movie or on television shows, they are fucked up. They're highly dysfunctional. They lose their jobs. They drunk drive and crash their cars into walls and into pedestrians. They lose their relationships. They're just really messy crazy people. And so you see that on TV and you think, well, I'm not like that, so therefore I'm not an alcoholic. And you could be a heavy drinker. You could have a very, very bad relationship with alcohol, but you're stopping short of calling yourself an alcoholic because you're not as dysfunctional as all the people you see with alcohol problems and the way that they are portrayed in movies and television shows. I think that's problematic because a lot of people, especially after the pandemic, are drinking way too much. And I think it needs to be examined. I think a lot of us need to reevaluate just how much we're drinking. The second thing I've noticed is that Alcoholics Anonymous evangelism can be dangerous. People who are sold on Alcoholics Anonymous, it worked for them. That's awesome. Anything that works is awesome. But evangelizing Alcoholics Anonymous as the one and only way to improve your relationship with alcohol, to get sober and to stay sober, is dangerous to the people for whom that doesn't work. There are a lot of things about AA that don't work for a lot of people. Number one, you have to admit that you are powerless against alcohol. Fuck that shit. I'm not powerless against alcohol. I'm just not. And maybe another person is. Or maybe it is useful to them to believe that or to say that, to just lock on to I am powerless against alcohol and that is the thing that keeps them clean. And that's great if it works. But for a lot of people, that's really going to rub them the wrong way. And I kind of feel like it could have something to do with being double masculine sleep, with being masculine DI, with having this internal drive, and the fact that personal agency is one of my core values. It's probably one of the top 5 core values. My agency. I decide. If I decide to do a thing, I do it. And so for me to say I am powerless against alcohol, that's disempowering to me overall. It's not an ideology that works for me. I saw a meme the other day. It's like a power strip plugged into itself. And the caption was something like, me trying to quit without my higher power, or me trying to be my own higher power, or something like that. And I think that that image could be really powerful and useful to someone, but it isn't to me. Because I think that my agency is my higher power. The masculine DI, the double masculine sleep, that is my higher power. And so the image just doesn't resonate with me. And I'm not saying that image is wrong, the philosophy of AA is wrong, and the way that I'm doing it is right. I'm saying that different approaches work for different people. And that overzealous evangelizing of AA does a disservice to the people who don't resonate with that philosophy. There's a book by Mishka Shabali. It's called something like How to Quit Drinking by Not Drinking. And that's basically how I feel about it. How do you quit drinking? You just don't drink anymore. And I know that it's not that simple for everyone. You know, recently Dave did a class on Matthew Perry, and he's actually a retype. It makes so much sense because they used to have him typed as double masculine NEFI and play last. Same as me, except double masculine. And now they've updated it to be sleep last, which just makes so much more sense. Anyway, in that class on Matthew Perry, I really appreciated how sensitively Dave talked about addiction. And there really are some people that are just so entrenched in alcohol and other addictions that it really is a chemical thing and it's really, really difficult to overcome. The other thing about Matthew Perry that Dave didn't mention, maybe because he didn't read the autobiography, I clearly remember in that autobiography, there was this thing when Matthew Perry was really young, like maybe an infant. I can't remember if he was an infant or a toddler, but he had some kind of pain or illness or something, and they were actually giving him phenobarbital as a child, a very young child. And you can imagine that possibly that would change your brain in a way that would make you more susceptible to addiction. If you have pain and you get this strong chemical that mitigates the pain, yeah, maybe that is not good for a young developing brain. So that could potentially lead to lifelong addiction. I don't know. I haven't done the research on that. I just remember that detail from the Matthew Perry autobiography. Okay, so if it's so easy for me to quit drinking, why haven't I done it sooner? So a couple of things. I wasn't ready. I wasn't really committed. Anytime you make a change, you have to be really committed. And I just wasn't. And also, I was being lazy. So the kinds of triggers that I have are so stupid and trivial. The kinds of things that make me want to have a drink. Like maybe there was an operating system update and I am fighting dealing all day long with the ramifications of the operating system update. And so at the end of the day, I'm like, oh, I need a drink, or I deserve a drink. Maybe a client is 20 minutes late and it's a difficult session, and I think I deserve a drink because that was stressful. These are just little stresses. It's not difficult to manage these triggers at all. And I do have a lot of practice managing my own nervous system. I'm actually pretty good at it. But the truth is, I've been lazy because drinking's just quicker. I could go off to a quiet corner and manage my nervous system pretty successfully, but I would have to stop what I'm doing and go off to a quiet corner to do that. Where if I just pour myself a drink, it's just so quick and easy. So it's really just laziness. And I think it's also this whole history of throughout my 20s and 30s, it wasn't a problem. I didn't really drink too much. And so now what I've done in January is just choose differently whenever those triggers come up, or whenever the trigger of the routine of the day comes up. Maybe I have no appointments and it's 5 p.m. and it just feels like the thing that I would do at that time of day. I mean, that's so easy for me to just decide differently, distract myself, do something else. So I would say the reason I haven't done this earlier is laziness, and also just this feeling that it's not that big a deal, that I'm getting away with it. But now I'm almost 47. I showed you what my tolerance is. It's unacceptable. And I know that I cannot get away with it forever. It's making me look old and tired and ugly and maybe killing me. That's why I'm doing dry January. And that's why I want to get back to a neutral relationship with alcohol. A lot of people will think that that's not possible. You shouldn't even try. That's a fool's errand. But I'm just being honest with you that that's where I'm at. Maybe I can do it. Maybe I can't. So that's just one of the things I'm doing in January. I've got other habits and projects in the mix. I've been going to the brand new YMCA a lot. We got a brand new fancy YMCA that's just a few blocks away from my house, and that's been really fun. I have a new walking buddy that I go on walks with, and that's awesome. Really good conversation. I'm working on making more videos for this channel, and I've got some business plans for 2024 that I'm thinking about and planning and organizing. So anyway, those are my thoughts on alcohol, what I'm doing in dry January. Let me know what you think, and I hope you're having a great January.